Have you ever sat down to enjoy what you thought was a healthy seafood meal? Maybe it was a grilled tilapia fillet, maybe a shrimp stir-fry, or a classic tuna sandwich. Quick, easy, and light on the stomach. You're thinking, this is good for me. I'm making a smart choice. But then a few hours later, you feel bloated, a little foggy. You're more tired than usual. Maybe your joints ache just a bit more, or your blood pressure reads higher than normal the next day. And you chalk it up to aging. But what if it's not just age? What if that healthy seafood on your plate is silently working against your body, causing inflammation, messing with your memory, putting pressure on your heart? What if it's doing more harm than good, and you didn't even realize? Because here's the truth most people don't talk about. As we grow older, our bodies become more sensitive to things that never used to bother us. Your metabolism slows down. Your liver and kidneys aren't filtering toxins as efficiently as they once did. And your brain, your heart, your joints, they're all more vulnerable to the invisible damage certain foods can bring. Seafood is supposed to be healthy, right? And often it is, but not all seafood is created equal. Some fish, especially the ones that are cheapest, easiest to find, and most commonly eaten by seniors, are filled with dangerous chemicals, antibiotics, and mercury. And when you're over 60, these things don't just pass through your system anymore. They build up, quietly, relentlessly. Now I know this sounds scary, but don't worry, this isn't a video meant to frighten you. This is a wake-up call, and more importantly, this is a guide. Because while some seafoods are working against you, others are quietly fighting for you. They're boosting your memory, protecting your heart, helping your joints, and giving you energy when you thought you were just slowing down with age. In today's video, we're going to walk through the 4 worst seafoods you should avoid right now if you're over 60, or if you love someone who is. And then I'll show you 4 much better, much safer options you can enjoy without fear. Ones that can actually help you feel younger, clearer, and more in control of your health. And I'll warn you, one of the bad seafoods might already be sitting in your fridge or your pantry. It might be something you eat every single week, and it might just be the reason you're not feeling your best. So don't go anywhere, because this could make a real difference in how you feel this month, this year, and even how long and how well you live. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments right now. Type "I'm here" if you're ready to make smarter food choices for a stronger, healthier life. Let's make this conversation personal. And if you're new here, welcome to Next Chapter Wisdom. This is where we share compassionate, research-backed tips to help you or your loved ones live longer, feel better, and stay sharp after 60 and beyond. All right, are you ready? Let's start with a fish you've probably eaten dozens, if not hundreds of times. Tilapia. Now picture this. You're at the grocery store walking through the seafood section. You glance at the options, and there it is. Tilapia. Nicely packaged, reasonably priced, skinless, boneless, and labeled mild and versatile. You think, perfect, this will go great with some vegetables and brown rice. It feels like a responsible choice, something light, something clean. But here's the problem. Farm-raised tilapia, which is the kind sold in most stores, isn't the clean, heart-healthy choice it pretends to be. Behind that neat packaging is a hidden risk that most people, especially seniors, never see coming. You see, most tilapia is raised in crowded artificial ponds, especially in countries with very little regulation. And what do they feed these fish to make them grow fast and cheap? A steady diet of corn-based pellets, soy, and other unnatural ingredients. Not algae, not plankton, none of what fish are actually supposed to eat. That kind of diet causes the fish to become unnaturally high in something called omega-6 fatty acids. Now, omega-6 isn't always bad. Our bodies need some. But too much, especially in relation to omega-3, can create a ticking time bomb for inflammation. And here's where it matters. If you're dealing with arthritis, joint pain, heart issues, or memory fog, things that become more common as we age, this kind of inflammation can quietly make everything worse. It's like throwing fuel on a fire you didn't even know was burning. And yet so many seniors keep eating tilapia thinking, well, at least I'm eating fish instead of red meat. But what if I told you, you'd be better off skipping it altogether? Here's the truth. Not all fish are created equal. Just because it swims doesn't mean it's good for you. Just because it's cheap and easy to cook doesn't make it safe. We've been taught that fish equals healthy, but in the case of farm-raised tilapia, that's a dangerous oversimplification. So what can you do instead? Do you give up seafood completely? Absolutely not. You just need to be more selective. Instead of tilapia, choose wild-caught salmon, especially varieties like sockeye or coho. They're packed with omega-3 fatty acids, the kind that reduce inflammation instead of increasing it. They help support heart rhythm, improve memory, ease joint pain, and even boost mood. Yes, salmon might be a little more expensive, but what's the cost of ignoring inflammation? What's the price of another flare-up of joint pain or another day feeling foggy and worn out? It's not just about food, it's about giving your body the tools to age gracefully and comfortably. So if tilapia is in your freezer right now, it might be time to rethink that next meal. Because the right seafood can help you feel stronger, clearer, and more energized. But the wrong one might be slowly stealing your strength. And tilapia? That's a wrong one many never suspect. Now, speaking of seafood that seems healthy but isn't, let's talk about shrimp. Not just any shrimp, the kind that's imported, easy to find, and full of hidden dangers you'll want to know before your next meal. Those tiny pink bite-sized sea creatures that end up in pasta, stir-fry, and party platters all across the world. You've probably seen them at a family gathering, maybe served cold in a cocktail glass, lined up neatly with a little dish of red sauce in the middle. They look clean, they're small, they feel light and low in calories. And if you're watching your weight or trying to cut back on heavy meats, shrimp seems like a smart option. But let me ask you something. Do you know where that shrimp actually came from? Because what you see on your plate isn't the full story. Most of the shrimp sold in grocery stores, especially the frozen ones, are imported, usually from countries like India, Thailand, or Vietnam. And what happens over there is something we rarely talk about, but absolutely should. Let's pull back the curtain for a moment. In many of these overseas farms, shrimp are raised in crowded, shallow pools of murky water. To keep disease from spreading in those conditions, the farmers often rely on heavy antibiotics and chemicals, some of which are banned or strictly limited in the United States. Why? Because they're linked to gut health issues, immune system problems, and even antibiotic resistance, especially in people with already weakened systems, like seniors. Think about that. Your gut is home to trillions of bacteria, the good kind that helps you digest food, fight off illness, and even regulate your mood and energy levels. When you consume seafood that's been treated with harsh antibiotics, you're not just eating shrimp. You're eating traces of those chemicals too. And over time, that can chip away at your gut's natural balance, leaving you more vulnerable to illness, inflammation, and fatigue. And I get it. Shrimp seems harmless. They're tiny. They look clean. They don't smell too fishy. So we assume, well, how bad could they be? But in reality, the smaller the food, the more easily we overlook it. And that's where the danger lies. Don't be fooled by size. Shrimp may be small, but the damage they can do, especially when they're poorly farmed, is anything but. Now, does this mean you have to give up shrimp entirely? Not necessarily. If shrimp is something you truly enjoy, and you don't want to give it up completely, there's a better way. Instead of grabbing the cheap imported bags from the freezer aisle, look for wild-caught U.S. Gulf shrimp. These come from the Gulf of Mexico and are caught under stricter safety standards. They're less likely to be exposed to harmful chemicals and much more likely to support your gut and overall health instead of harming it. Yes, they cost a little more. But remember what we're talking about here. It's not just about taste. It's about what you're putting into your body as you age. Because every bite should support your energy, your digestion, and your immune system, not work against them. So the next time you see a shrimp platter at a party or a sale on frozen shrimp at the store, take a moment, flip the bag over, see where it's from, and choose wisely. Because your gut, it's not just where digestion starts. It's where everything begins. Your strength, your resistance to illness, your overall feeling of vitality. And it deserves better than chemically treated creatures from polluted pools. Now let's move to another popular seafood, one that seniors often enjoy grilled or baked, thinking it's full of good fats and lean protein. But this one carries a different kind of danger. A hidden toxin that targets your brain, your heart, and your nervous system. Now let's talk about a fish that might sound familiar, king mackerel. It's the kind of name you've probably seen printed on a restaurant menu. Or maybe you've picked up a canned version on a grocery store shelf thinking, it's fish, it's mackerel, must be good for the heart, right? You might have even had it grilled, served up with some lemon and herbs, sitting beside a little coleslaw or rice. Tasted fine, felt light, no guilt, right? But here's something most people don't know. Not all mackerel is the same, and king mackerel in particular is a fish that carries a very heavy secret, one that can slowly work its way into your system without any warning signs. Until it's too late. Let me explain. King mackerel contains some of the highest levels of mercury found in any seafood on the market today. We're not talking trace amounts. We're talking high levels. Enough that pregnant women are told to avoid it completely. And seniors should be especially cautious. Now here's why mercury is so dangerous. It doesn't just pass through your system like a bad meal. It builds up, over time, silently, and the effects can be devastating, especially if your liver and kidneys aren't clearing toxins as well as they used to. Even low doses of mercury, when consumed regularly, can lead to tremors, memory issues, mood swings, muscle weakness, and in some cases, even kidney or nervous system damage. And for older adults, where memory is already more fragile and the body takes longer to recover, this isn't something you want to gamble with. The most dangerous part? You might not even notice it happening. One can of mackerel here, one grilled fillet at a friend's house. A little now and then, until suddenly you find yourself asking, why am I more forgetful lately? Why do my hands shake sometimes? Why am I always so tired? And no one suspects the fish, because we've been taught that mackerel is healthy, and in many cases that's true. But it all depends on which kind you're eating. And this is the part most people miss. There are different types of mackerel, and they're not all created equal. King mackerel, high in mercury, grown in warmer waters, big predatory fish that accumulate toxins from smaller fish they eat. But Atlantic mackerel, the smaller, cold water version, is much lower in mercury and still rich in omega-3s, which are great for your heart, your memory, and your mood. So the misconception that all mackerel is healthy, that's a dangerous one. It's not just about the name, it's about where the fish comes from and what kind of mackerel it actually is. If you're reaching for mackerel at the store, flip the can over. Look for Atlantic mackerel or Norwegian mackerel. Even better, try sardines. They're small, low on the food chain, and packed with healthy fats, calcium, and vitamin D. They don't carry the same toxin risk, and they can actually support your memory and heart function rather than quietly eroding it. So next time you're at the store, skip the king. Choose the Atlantic. Because when it comes to your brain and your heart, you want fish that serve you, not sneak up on you. And now, let's talk about a seafood that might be hiding in your pantry right now. Something many people eat for lunch without even thinking about it. It's soft, it's easy to prepare, and it's been marketed for years as a lean protein. But for seniors, it could be silently affecting your memory and nervous system more than you know. Let's dive into the truth about canned tuna, and why not all tuna is safe for aging minds. Canned tuna, more specifically albacore tuna, sometimes labeled white tuna. You've probably used it in a quick tuna salad mixed with a little mayo and celery. Maybe packed it into sandwiches for lunch or stirred it into pasta. It's affordable, it's shelf-stable, it's convenient, and most of all, it feels healthy. After all, it's tuna, a lean source of protein, right? But here's the part most people don't realize. Not all tuna is the same. And when it comes to albacore, especially the kind you find in those tidy cans, there's a very real risk quietly hiding inside. Let's unpack it. Albacore tuna is a larger species of tuna. It lives longer and feeds higher up the food chain, which means it has more time to absorb toxins from the ocean, especially one toxin in particular, mercury. Now, earlier we talked about mercury in king mackerel, but albacore tuna? It's right up there too. In fact, albacore can contain nearly 3 times more mercury than light tuna. And here's why that's a serious concern for older adults. When mercury builds up in your system, it doesn't just cause general fatigue or body aches. It can affect your memory, your concentration, and your heart rhythm. You may find yourself forgetting simple things, where you left your keys, what day it is, or even losing track of conversations. You may feel foggy, disconnected, or off balance. And often we blame these things on aging. We think it's just part of getting older. But what if it's not? What if one of the quiet contributors is something you're eating multiple times a week, believing it's helping when it's actually harming? That's what makes this so tricky, because canned tuna doesn't feel dangerous. It's easy. It's familiar. It's just tuna. But that's the misconception. When eaten too often, especially the albacore variety, tuna can become a slow-moving threat. And unlike other foods that give you instant symptoms, mercury doesn't show up right away. It builds, quietly, week by week, can by can. So what's the solution? Do you stop eating tuna completely? Not necessarily, but it does mean you need to be very intentional about the type and how often you eat it. Here's what you can do. First, switch from albacore to light tuna. Light tuna, usually skipjack, is smaller and carries significantly less mercury. Second, limit your intake. Once or twice a week is more than enough. Spread it out. Give your body time to process. And third, consider healthier alternatives altogether. Try wild sardines. They're smaller, safer, and packed with calcium, vitamin D, and omega-3, so without the toxin load. Or go with wild sockeye salmon, which has those heart-healthy fats your body needs to thrive. Because the goal here isn't to scare you away from seafood, it's to help you eat seafood that heals, not harms. So the next time you open your pantry and reach for that can of tuna, take a second look. Check the label. Does it say albacore? If so, maybe give it a break. Your brain and your heart will thank you for it. Now that we've covered the seafoods to steer clear of, let's shift the energy. Let's talk about what you can enjoy, confidently and joyfully. Because there are seafoods out there that actually fight inflammation, support your joints, protect your heart, and keep your memory strong. In the next part of this video, we're going to walk through the 4 best seafoods seniors should be eating regularly. The ones that fuel your body, sharpen your mind, and help you age with strength, clarity, and calm. All right, now that we've cleared away the seafoods that quietly work against your health, let's open the door to something better. Something that doesn't just avoid causing harm, but actually helps your body heal, restore, and thrive as you age. Let's talk about wild-caught salmon. Not farmed, not dyed, not processed into some frozen mystery patty. I'm talking about real, clean, wild-caught salmon from cold waters, like those off the coast of Alaska or the Pacific Northwest. Now, why salmon? Because when it comes to nutritional powerhouses, this one earns its crown. It's packed, absolutely loaded, with omega-3 fatty acids. But not just any fats. These are the kinds of fats that fight inflammation, protect your heart, fuel your brain, and soothe your joints. Let's break it down, one gentle step at a time. Memory and brain function. As we get older, forgetfulness creeps in. Names slip away, focus gets fuzzy, and some days just feel slower. But omega-3s have been shown to support brain cell communication and reduce age-related mental decline. Regular intake is linked to sharper memory, better mood, and even a reduced risk of dementia. Heart health. Your heart works hard, every minute, every hour, without pause. Wild salmon helps lower bad cholesterol, reduce triglycerides, and stabilize heart rhythms. It's like giving your heart a calm, steady rhythm to dance to, one that lasts through the years. Joint relief. For those of you dealing with stiff knees, swollen fingers, or painful hips, omega-3s help reduce the inflammation that causes joint discomfort. Eating salmon regularly is like giving your body a little cushion, making movement feel more natural again, more like you. Now you might be wondering, how do I prepare it? Here's the good news. Wild salmon is simple. You don't need fancy techniques or complicated recipes. Just a light drizzle of olive oil, a sprinkle of herbs, maybe a slice of lemon on top, and then bake it, grill it, or steam it. You don't need to drown it in sauces. Let the natural richness of the fish speak for itself. A few ounces, 2 to 3 times a week, that's enough to make a real difference. But here's something to keep an eye on. Always check the label. Look for the words wild caught. That one phrase tells you that the fish lived freely in clean open waters, feeding naturally, swimming strong, and developing the nutrients your body needs. Avoid the farmed versions. They may look similar, but they're often raised in crowded pens and fed unnatural diets, which means fewer nutrients and more hidden concerns. If you're shopping for the first time, here are some keywords to guide you: wild Alaskan, sockeye, coho, or simply wild caught. Those are your best friends. And yes, salmon might be a little pricier than some other fish. But remember, this isn't just food. It's medicine in the form of a warm, delicious meal. It's fuel for your memory, strength for your heart, and relief for your joints. You're not just eating, you're investing in your independence, your clarity, your comfort. So if there's one seafood to keep in your weekly rotation, make it wild salmon. Your body will feel it, your mind will thank you. And now, let's move to another fish that's often misunderstood. A little less flashy, a little less known, but it's one of the safest, most nutrient-rich seafoods for seniors. And it comes in a humble little can. Something often overlooked. Maybe even something you've walked past in the grocery aisle more times than you can count. Tucked away in little tins, hidden behind flashier labels and fancy packaging. Sardines. Now, before you raise an eyebrow or wrinkle your nose, hear me out. Because what these little fish lack in glamour, they more than make up for in nutrition, safety, and strength-building power for seniors. Let's take a closer look. First of all, sardines are loaded with essential nutrients that become increasingly important as we age. They're rich in calcium, which helps keep your bones strong and resilient. And not just the kind of calcium that's added to cereal boxes. This is natural, bioavailable calcium that your body knows exactly how to use. They're also high in vitamin D, which acts like a key, unlocking the doors that allow calcium to actually do its job. Without enough vitamin D, your body struggles to absorb the calcium you take in, no matter how much milk you drink. Now imagine a food that gives you both, calcium and vitamin D, in the perfect balance, ready for your body to absorb and use right away. That's what sardines do. But they don't stop there. Sardines are also a great source of omega-3 fatty acids. Just like wild salmon, these fats support heart rhythm, reduce inflammation, and nourish your brain cells, helping you stay sharp, focused, and calm. And here's something even more important, especially for seniors. Sardines are one of the lowest mercury fish you can eat. Why? Because they're small. They don't live long, and they eat low on the food chain. That means they don't have time or the size to accumulate the dangerous levels of mercury that larger fish like tuna or mackerel carry. So you get all the benefits without the baggage. And don't let the packaging fool you. Canned sardines may be humble, but they're incredibly convenient. They're shelf-stable, which means you can stock up without worrying about spoilage. And they're budget-friendly too, making them one of the most affordable ways to eat for your health. You can enjoy them straight out of the can or mix them into a salad for a flavorful boost. Spread them onto whole grain crackers with a little olive oil and lemon juice. Mash them into avocado toast, or even stir them into warm brown rice with sautéed veggies. The options are simple, and the payoff is big. Now I know sardines aren't for everyone. They've got a stronger flavor than tilapia or cod, and the idea of tiny fish with bones might feel off-putting at first. But here's the truth. Those soft, edible bones, they're where all the calcium lives. They're not something to fear, they're something to embrace. Because with every bite, you're strengthening your frame, calming your heart, and nourishing your mind. And isn't that what good food is supposed to do? So if you're looking for something practical, powerful, and protective, give sardines a second look. Not flashy, not trendy, but deeply, quietly healing. They may be small, but they're mighty, and your body will know the difference. Now this next one, it's often misunderstood, because when people hear the word mackerel, they immediately think of the one we talked about earlier, king mackerel, the one that's high in mercury and dangerous, especially for seniors. But not all mackerel is created equal. And today I want to introduce you to its safer, smarter sibling, Atlantic mackerel. Yes, same family, totally different story. Atlantic mackerel is smaller, leaner, and caught in colder, cleaner waters, like the North Atlantic Ocean. And because of that, it carries significantly lower mercury levels. So low, in fact, that it's considered one of the safest fish for regular consumption. That's a big deal if you're over 60, because your body isn't flushing out toxins the way it used to. So when you choose seafood, you need something clean, something that helps, not harms. And Atlantic mackerel checks all the boxes. Now let's talk about what it does for you. This little fish is packed with omega-3 fatty acids, the kind that feed your brain, ease your joints, and keep your heart steady. These healthy fats help reduce mental fog, sharpen your memory, and may even lower your risk of cognitive decline. Ever walk into a room and forget why? Lose track of a conversation halfway through? Feel like your thoughts are moving through syrup? Omega-3s help clear the fog. They don't work like caffeine, fast and jittery. They work slowly, steadily, building mental clarity and emotional calm from the inside out. And for your heart, Atlantic mackerel is one of nature's finest gifts. It helps reduce triglycerides, stabilize blood pressure, and lower the risk of irregular heartbeats. That's the kind of protection that lets you sleep easier, breathe easier, and move through your day with a sense of quiet confidence. Now let's talk about taste. Atlantic mackerel has a mild, slightly sweet flavor. It's not fishy like some people expect. It's actually quite smooth, and for seniors with sensitive stomachs or digestion issues, that makes a big difference. It's easy to chew, easy to digest, and satisfying without being heavy. And preparation? Simple. You can grill it with a bit of lemon and herbs, pan-sear it with olive oil and garlic, or enjoy it smoked, which brings out a deep, rich flavor without any added salt or chemicals. It's also available canned, just like sardines, making it shelf-stable and budget-friendly. But again, the key is to read the label. You want Atlantic mackerel, not king. Look for brands that specify the source. If it says Norwegian, North Atlantic, or Icelandic, you're in good hands. And just like salmon and sardines, this is a food you can enjoy 2 to 3 times a week, confidently. You're not just feeding your body. You're supporting your memory, protecting your heart, and keeping inflammation at bay. So the next time someone tells you mackerel is bad for you, you can smile gently and say, not all mackerel. Atlantic mackerel is the good one. Because once you know the difference, you can start making choices that help you age with grace, strength, and clarity. Now, there's one more seafood I want to share with you. It's sweet, it's tender, and it's something many people gave up on because of the dangers of imported versions. But when sourced the right way, it's safe, clean, and packed with nutrients. All right, let's wrap up our list with a seafood that's sweet, tender, easy to enjoy, and when sourced the right way, surprisingly powerful for your health. I'm talking about shrimp, but not just any shrimp. I'm talking about wild-caught shrimp from the U.S. Gulf Coast. Now, earlier we talked about why imported shrimp can be dangerous. Raised in unclean waters, pumped with antibiotics, and often coming from places with little to no health regulation. But here's the good news. You don't have to give up shrimp altogether. You just have to choose wisely. And when it comes to safety, quality, and nutrition, U.S. Gulf shrimp is in a class of its own. Let me explain why. These shrimp are harvested from the Gulf of Mexico, where fishing standards are strictly monitored, and every batch goes through stringent safety checks. They're not crammed into overpopulated ponds. They're not soaked in chemicals. They live in clean, natural waters, and that makes all the difference. When you choose wild-caught Gulf shrimp, you're giving your body a clean source of lean protein, without the toxic baggage. And beyond being clean, they're nutritionally rich in ways many people overlook. For starters, shrimp are packed with selenium, a trace mineral that's small in size but mighty in impact. Selenium plays a vital role in immune function, thyroid health, and cell protection. It helps your body fight off oxidative stress, the kind that contributes to chronic illness and speeds up aging from the inside out. If you've ever felt worn down for no clear reason, if you're dealing with slow wound healing, or just feel like your energy's been quietly draining, selenium may be one of the missing links, and shrimp delivers it in a perfectly balanced, highly absorbable form. But that's not all. Wild-caught shrimp is also an excellent source of vitamin B12, a critical nutrient for nerve health, memory, and red blood cell formation. As we age, our bodies naturally absorb less B12 from food, and low levels of B12 are directly tied to fatigue, confusion, even symptoms that mimic dementia. So the more we can get from natural sources like wild shrimp, the better. It's not just about staying energized. It's about protecting your mental clarity, your independence, and your sense of self. Now let's talk preparation. One of the best things about Gulf shrimp is how quick and easy they are to cook. No fancy tools, no complicated steps. You can grill them, lightly seasoned, tossed with olive oil, lemon, and garlic. You can steam them and serve over quinoa or brown rice with a side of vegetables. Or just chill them and add to a salad with avocado and olive oil for a heart-healthy lunch. However you prepare them, skip the deep fryer. No heavy breading. You don't need it. Shrimp already brings enough to the table just the way it is. And what about taste? Wild Gulf shrimp has a natural sweetness, a slightly firm bite, and a clean, fresh flavor that makes every bite feel like a treat. It's satisfying without being heavy, comforting without being greasy, perfect for sensitive digestion, and perfect for your heart. So if you've been nervous about shrimp, I don't blame you. The warnings around imported shrimp are real. But wild-caught shrimp from the Gulf? That's a different story altogether. It's one of the rare foods that checks every box. Low in toxins, high in nutrients, easy to digest, quick to prepare, and gentle on the body. It's a beautiful balance of flavor, convenience, and healing. So the next time you're at the seafood counter or browsing the freezer section, don't just grab what's cheapest. Pause, flip the label. Look for the words wild-caught and Gulf, because that's how you know you're choosing shrimp that's truly on your side. All right, now that we've walked through the 4 worst and the 4 best seafoods for seniors, you've got something powerful in your hands. Clarity, confidence, and a plate full of possibilities. Let's pause for just a moment. You've listened closely, you've absorbed the details, you've probably thought about your own kitchen. Maybe even recalled the taste of that shrimp pasta or the quick tuna sandwich you make on quiet afternoons. And if you're like most of us, these foods carry memories. They're part of your routine and they feel safe, familiar, even comforting. So now being told that something so ordinary, so trusted, might be quietly working against your body? That's hard to hear, I know, because as we age or as we care for someone who is, it's not just about making different meals. It's about redefining old patterns, breaking away from what we've always done and choosing to do something better, even when it's uncomfortable. And that's no small task. We cling to routine. It gives us a sense of control. It feels like home. But sometimes what once gave us strength now quietly steals it. That's why this isn't just a conversation about fish. This is about your energy, your clarity, your ability to stay independent, to enjoy your grandchildren, to wake up feeling well instead of worn out. It's about keeping your memory sharp enough to remember birthdays, favorite songs, and the stories you've told a dozen times but still love to share. This isn't about fear. This is about freedom, empowerment, because now you know what to look for. You know which seafoods to leave behind and which ones to welcome into your life with confidence. And even more importantly, you now understand that the foods you eat are not just calories. They are messages. Messages to your brain, to your heart, to your immune system, to every cell in your body. So here's what I encourage you to do today. Take a look in your fridge, peek into your pantry. What's in there? Is there something you could let go of and something new you're willing to try? You don't have to overhaul your whole diet. You don't need to be perfect. Just one small shift. Replace the canned albacore with wild sardines. Try grilling wild salmon this weekend instead of picking up tilapia again. Swap that imported shrimp for something wild-caught and safe. Because tiny changes today can mean brighter mornings tomorrow, more stable blood pressure, clearer thinking, less pain in your knees, less worry in your heart. And if you're caring for someone you love, a parent, a spouse, a dear friend growing older, then these changes don't just help their body. They show them love, real, practical love, because food is love. And healthy choices are one of the most compassionate gifts you can give, both to yourself and to those you care for. You deserve food that heals, not harms, that lifts you, not drains you, that brings back the energy, the clarity, the calm that age has tried to take away. This journey doesn't have to be lonely. You're not behind, you're right on time. And every meal is another chance to write a better chapter, one filled with strength, with joy, and with wisdom. Because aging isn't about decline, It's about refining the life you've built and choosing what makes the next part of your story even stronger. Let's take a deep breath together. You've come a long way with me in this video, and I truly hope you're walking away with something that feels not only helpful, but hopeful. So let's take a moment to gently bring it all together. Here's a quick recap, just the essentials, so they stay fresh in your mind. First, we talked about the 4 seafoods you should avoid, especially if you're over 60 or caring for someone who is farmed tilapia, high in inflammation causing omega-6s. Imported shrimp, often full of antibiotics and raised in questionable conditions. King mackerel, dangerously high in mercury. Albacore tuna, a pantry favorite, but also mercury heavy and risky when eaten too often. And then we looked at 4 healing alternatives. Seafoods that support your heart, your memory, and your energy with every bite. Wild-caught salmon, full of brain-boosting omega-3s and heart-loving fats. Sardines, rich in calcium, vitamin D, and low in toxins. Atlantic mackerel, often overlooked, but incredibly clean and nourishing. Wild-caught U.S. Gulf, shrimp-safe, selenium-rich, and easy to digest. These aren't just better options. They're small, daily tools to help you live stronger, feel clearer, and age with dignity and ease. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Let's turn this video into a conversation. Have you been eating any of those worst seafoods without knowing? Did any of them surprise you? Or maybe, do you already have a favorite among the best ones we talked about? Wild salmon? Sardines? Maybe you've even tried Atlantic mackerel and loved it? Tell me down in the comments. Even a few words helps us connect. I read every single one. And if this video helped you, even just a little, if you feel more confident, more equipped, or just more aware of what your body needs, please consider liking the video and subscribing to Next Chapter Wisdom. This isn't just a channel, it's your space to grow stronger, smarter, and more prepared for this chapter of life and the beautiful ones still ahead. We talk about the things that matter: your heart, your health, your habits, the little changes that lead to lasting peace and strength. And I'd be honored to walk that journey with you. So wherever you are right now, whether you're watching this on your lunch break, curled up on the couch, or sitting with a warm drink and reflecting, thank you for spending time with me today. You made time for your health. You made time to learn. You made time to care for yourself or someone you love. And that matters. Stay mindful, stay curious, and most of all, stay kind to your body. I'll see you in the next video. And until then, stay well, because the best chapters of life are still being written.